Do flowers have best friends?
I don't know.
Hey, look.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. Be a part of the show by calling 915-544-KTSM, 915-544-5876, or comment online on our stream at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and that means it's time to talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thanks for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the very many social media pages we're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. If you got us over on the social media, I always wanted to drop those likes, reacts, comments as well. One of the better and probably most important reasons we're up there, besides getting to y'all, wherever you're hearing at us, seeing us, interacting or wanting to, is the right place for you here. But we make it all available in order to further the mission that we have of having live local talk radio in El Paso, and also talking about the issues that affect us right here in the borderland, because no one else is going to talk about the things and the way they affect us, those of us who live here, like we do. So already a lot of people gathering over there on the social media here. Again, the comments coming through there all throughout the show here is one of the more important bits. You can always leave your commentary there here, and a lot to delve into today. Yeah, it's been a busy week here, and it's not showing any signs of slowing down here. A lot of updates on some of those major topics we have been doing more than a little bit of discussion on, including what is going on in the progression of the potential removal of the district attorney for El Paso. Judge ruling that the case can move forward here, what that means, what our news partners and such are reporting on there. Also, what is going on with the local immigration and border security situation. At least one thing maybe kind of being dealt with that I talked about yesterday in terms of processing happening on the banks of the Rio Grande here, but also what's a lot of local officials have to say, local elected officials, including the sheriff, and what is being said by city council on the amount and the effort being put into this whole situation we are still dealing with here, including also more than a little bit on a different city council and city of El Paso issue, that findings on the multipurpose performing arts center, more commonly and probably better known as the Downtown Arena. So a lot to get into there. Plus, guests today, going to be talking with Carla Sierra, the director in El Paso here for the Libre Initiative. I'll get into her full title here, not trying to get her in trouble here, but talking about, of course, the petition that they have submitted that has thrown a little bit of a wrench in the works for that progression of the County Hospital District, aka UMC, Certificate of Obligation bond. That vote obviously didn't happen on Monday after their submission of their petition with, by their reckoning, about 36,000 signatures. They will be talking with them about, okay, how that came about, how they dealt with it, what the next steps are, and where we go from here. Those kind of questions here. So, again, short, quite the jam-packed show for you here today. And, of course, a lot more here, and getting into your phone calls a little bit later in the show, as we usually do here. And, yes, there are many other topics that we'll also probably be talking about here. Some interesting points about elections, about busing happening out of Texas, about recent polls here. So you're definitely tuned in to another jam-packed couple hours here on the program, as we talk about as many things we can cram into 2 hours about affecting us here in the borderland, as we have Ida Beza-Gardner joining us over on the social media. Hello to you as well. Hope you're logged in for such a show as well. Also dropping those likes and reacts, Ida Beza-Gardner and Flaco Jimenez. Do appreciate it. So let's delve right in there to our news partners over there. KFOX 14, judge rules in favor of citation petition to remove El Paso DA Rosales moves forward. Again, just to clarify, because I have my desk halfway covered in different petitions here. The phrase being used in this circumstance referring to essentially a legal filing. Petition the courts, as the kind of fuller phrase might be said there. And so what is happening there is that there's been some filings. There's been a judge change. We have a judge out of the Odessa era now making some of these decisions here. Tyron D. Lewis of Odessa did grant yesterday that the petitioner in this case, Omar Carmona, previous guest in the show here, that his application for a citation is able to move forward, granting that in order that the citation be issued to Rosales, and Rosales, District Attorney for El Paso there, Yvonne Rosales, will have the chance to respond to it. The next step in this case will be, again, involving the county attorney. We've been talking about some of the involvement there with both seeking for the district attorney and her filings by her personal attorneys in this case, seeking for the county attorney to not be allowed to be involved in this, but County Attorney Joanne Bernal next being involved and having asked previously the court for instruction on what her interaction will be expected to be. The decision will now come whether to prosecute or dismiss the petition to remove Rosales, again, as Omar Carmona, and speaking with our news partners there, did confirm. So, again, the sum total, essentially, to cut through all the legalese there, is that the case against the district attorney seeking her removal from office is going to be able to proceed. Now, this does not mean that it is happening right now. It just means that it has not been stopped in its tracks, that effort. So, of course, keep our eye on that here. And this is, if there's a more complex subject we're involved with lately, you'd be hard-pressed to find one, because this and all, of course, the cases that are involved in coming through the district attorney's office are quite significant. The August 3rd case, of course, I'm not going to say chief among them, but definitely front of mind for a hell of a lot of people in town here, myself included. So we'll keep checking in on that one here. But even more coming out about, again, the local immigration border security situation, what is going on of people being released onto the streets of El Paso. El Paso Sheriff Richard Weil sitting Thursday, again, speaking with our news partners there at KFOX 14, quote, "This incident raises a law enforcement concerns because Border Patrol is so overwhelmed, undocumented immigrants may be released into communities with minimal or no screening here." Sharing that concern as a part of a statement here, coming after specifically an attempted human smuggling case where migrants were detained by deputies that could not be placed in Border Patrol custody, having around 9:30 p.m. Tuesday this week on the 7900 block of Donovan Drive here. So local law enforcement apparently having to get involved in these kind of issues here, but also this seeming maybe more like one of those bailout, one of those ditching cases that we have been talking about as well, where when presented or challenged by law enforcement attempted human smuggling efforts, they either bail out of the vehicle, ditch the vehicle, at least in one case, not too far from our studios here, right across the street, run into a building, and then flee the vehicle here. So the public safety concerns can be made pretty obvious from here, because in this case, the vehicle stopped, 4 individuals ran, including a 27-year-old Lorenzo Rafael Carmona from Las Cruces, according to the Sheriff's Department's release here. So this is not good. And they're, again, directly linking it, Sheriff Wiles is in this case, to the ongoing immigration situation, particularly since they have had difficulty in, once these people have been detained, some of them being processed for immediate either Title 42 removal or other immediate removals out there. And it's not technically under Title 8, I don't believe, but hey, maybe there's provisions under there that aren't being used as much here. But to the larger situation of what is going on, again, the video circulating both online from our news partners and from other agencies and other reporting concerns in El Paso, specifically citing from El Paso Matters here, migrants getting processed on the banks of the Rio Grande as crossings continue here. That video, more than a little bit shocking to me, and I'm sure to others out there, showing people just, again, blatantly crossing the Rio Grande, entering onto U.S. soil, and just continuing on there. So now processing has begun in that area. Again, the overpass of Loop 375 down near the, and I'm not trying to blow any smoke at them, but the, essentially, it looks like the former site of the La Hacienda restaurant there. And so the fact that this continues on, at least they're now doing some processing there, not just expecting people to show up to the nearest authority, gives me small comfort, I guess. But this whole situation has continued to remain well out of hand. I feel pretty confident in saying, particularly since the city of El Paso further putting forth that since August 23rd, over $600,000 has now been spent on transportation, that busing that has been happening, bringing those that have been processed out of town here. So this situation, the response to it continues to evolve and move on here. And tell you what, we're going to have to take that first break right now, so we're not even be able to get into just yet what is going on with, again, that MPC, Multipurpose Performing Arts Center feasibility study, better known as the Arena, I think, to most people out there. We'll have to talk about that a little bit more, a little bit later in the program here, because we are due for that first break. And coming out of this break, again, going to be talking with the Libre Initiative about their work, what they have been doing, and what they've been seeking in regards to another taxpayer concern, that of the County Hospital District and UMC, that certificate of obligation bond, what their filing was, the petitions they got, what their expectations are, and what comes next here. So, I feel like I haven't taken a breath this past 5 minutes here. Got to take that first break right now to give me a chance to catch my breath and again get into that interview. You are, of course, locked into Talk El Paso, airing live here on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Coming out of this break, we will get to more of those comments here. Phone lines a little bit later in the program here, as we usually do. But in any case, stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. And it's a lot of suggestions coming up there. Again, back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Heads up if you're on the I-10 westbound, headed toward the downtown area. There's a crash I-10 westbound at Cotton involving 3 vehicles that are blocking the left shoulder, and the backup starts now. I-10 westbound, Geronimo to Reynolds, it's a 5-minute delay. I-10 eastbound from Piedras past the 54 Patriot to Chelsea, that's a 5-minute delay with stop-and-go traffic. Injury accident, North Loop Drive, eastbound at North Carolina. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Want to save big on new blinds? Blindster.com offers custom-made blind shades and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Shop Blindster now and save 45% off any order. Just use code RADIO. Offer ends soon. Shop today. Blindster.com.
Hey, Mario Courtney Lopez here. We know how important it is to be confident in all of life's close-up moments.
And bad breath can rob you of your confidence.
Yeah, it can. Whenever I'm rubbing elbows with celebrities or friends or just chilling at home, I got to make sure I have the confidence that comes with Smart Mouth mouthwash.
Smart Mouth is clinically proven to eliminate and prevent bad breath for 24 hours with just 2 rinses a day.
Get to your favorite retailer right now for that kind of better together confidence.
Find Smart Mouth at your favorite retailer or at smartmouth.com/radio.
Imagine for a moment that this ad was bought autonomously. Welcome to the new open web, where Viant is combining AI and human insight to create autonomous media buying that accelerates your return on ad spend. And using Viant's DSP Adelphic, you can now measure your media offline and online to see the full impact of your media spend, so you can spend more time on podcasts. Viant, built for the new open web. Built for now. Visit ViantNow.com to learn more.
Savannah RX Pharmacy is a Medicare-enrolled pharmacy. And great news if you're a Medicare participant. Visit GetYourRapidTest.com now to get up to 8 at-home COVID-19 rapid antigen tests monthly, delivered to you free, including free shipping. This is a 100% valid benefit of Medicare that has only recently been made available. The Federal Medicare COVID-19 Initiative offers Medicare participants free COVID-19 tests every month. Visit GetYourRapidTest.com. That's GetYourRapidTest.com for your free at-home COVID-19 rapid tests. That's GetYourRapidTest.com.
Hi, I'm Lisa Booth for Bishop Gold Group. Are you worried about your financial future as retirement gets closer? All over the country, soon-to-be retirees are fearing for their financial future as markets remain volatile. Bishop Gold Group helps you invest in gold and gold IRAs to protect your wealth and retirement during times of high inflation and wild swings in the market. Secure your future today. Contact Bishop Gold Group by dialing pound 250 from a mobile phone and say the keyword Bishop Gold, or visit bishopgoldgroup.com.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and whatever, just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Welcome back here to Talk El Paso, airing on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages we're up on these days: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, either under Talk El Paso or Andrew J. Polk, depending on which platform you're on. Well, most of them, and even some more pages even within those there. A lot of stuff, of course, we're talking about here today. A lot of big news of the day and those ongoing situations we're keeping our eye on. And one of them definitely related here, what is going on with that entire University Medical Center / County Hospital District Certificate of Obligation bond. You may recall that on Monday there was that initial vote scheduled to decide on what might be happening with that with county commissioners. But of course, there was a petition drive that has thrown a little bit of a wrench into those plans, and now a rescheduled vote for the start of next month. Here to talk about that petition and their efforts on it, we are now joined by Carla Sierra, Grassroots Engagement Director with the Libre Initiative. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Got a chance to talk with you on a different program previously, but happy to have you on our air here for the first time to talk about these issues and what's going on with it here. Of course, we've been talking quite a lot about what's going on with, again, this potential certificate of obligation bond that they're calling for, that $345 million and change here, not to exceed the $400 million that you all also talk about here. But this petition drive here, the one that has been, we've talked about in a couple of different ways, and a lot of people have been very interested in and discussing about here, that of course came to a head, of course, with this Monday's meeting, but y'all actually submitted it last Friday, right?
We did. We submitted all of our signatures last Friday, and so well before the deadline of the commissioners meeting on the 12th. So that was the deadline for us to submit those.
And so again, was parts of that Monday meeting this past Monday was supposed to be the culmination of that roughly initially 45 and then pushed out closer to about 60 days time frame from the introduction of it, the publishing of those, required, disclosures and papers and online, those kind of things here. That was supposed to be the end of that period, of which county commissioners had essentially asked the County Hospital District, aka UMC in this case, to do more community outreach, had certain things, discussions we've had with them as well. But so you all submitted your signatures and you're required to get roughly a minimum $25,000, a percentage of the overall registered voters of El Paso, right?
That's correct. So with the new law that was implemented during the last legislative session, we had to acquire 5% of all registered voters. And roughly that came down to about 25,000 registered voters in El Paso. I think a few more people registered during the time that we were collecting the signatures. So it turns out to be about, 25,154 or something like that. So that's the minimum.
So to kind of deal with all of that and possibly here, you all submitted by your reckoning about 36,000 signatures, right?
Yes, that's roughly what we counted, is about 36,000 signatures that were submitted on Friday.
And there may be some confusion on this point here, but so just to lay it out properly here, there was noted by like the county clerk here and things like that, that there were 3 different signature drives, 3 different petitions essentially as they counted it, submitted as a part of that here. Now, we of course have talked previously, such as with the local Republican Liberty Caucus, who are doing some of their own efforts on this here, and kind of the understanding we came out of those and other discussions was that these were all very similar petitions, had some of that legal section, the Texas Local Government Code, that then triggers this, all being cited the same way here, but in the end these were not counted together is essentially what it comes down to.
Unfortunately, yes. So legally, if there are different individuals or groups that are working on the same project, the language has to be the same. So whatever language was in the public notice has to be on the petition. So various groups, various individuals can collect the petition, but we all have to submit them together at the same time. If not, then the county clerk will, count them as separately, which is what we saw, unfortunately, on Monday, where folks were still trying to, try to meet that deadline on Friday and get the petitions in. And unfortunately, they did not consult. They didn't want to add those signatures to the ones that we had submitted. So they counted them separate.
So in essence, what happened then in those cases, those other signature efforts were essentially discarded because they did not meet on their own these minimums, again, though, that 5% of registered voters.
That's correct, unfortunately. Yeah.
But so now we are in essentially a verification process for your all's efforts here, and among other things, including what's been reported on by our news partners there at KFOX 14, is that there's having to be an additional amount of money approved to hire roughly 10 people part-time and on a short-term basis to go through and do these signature verifications. So it's going to take probably better part of the next month. Again, the next meeting now being scheduled for October 3rd in order to actually have the county commissioners reconvene, get the results of that petition drive here. What are all expectations at this point for that purpose here?
We understand that they have to do their due diligence, and so out of respect for the commissioner's court and the county clerk, we weren't going to, just dump 36,000 signatures on them on Monday before their meeting. So we actually prepared about a week or two in advance, and our legal counsel was reaching out to the county clerk and the county attorney's office to let them know,
Mhm.
this is happening. We will be submitting all of these signatures, hopefully the Friday before the meeting. And so we did want to make sure that we also did our due diligence, but also out of respect for the county clerk's office, and saying, hey, this is what's coming. We want to make sure that you all are prepared. And so, in essence, they were pretty prepared for the signatures to arrive on that day. They already had some funds allocated to make sure that they were able to hire folks to verify the signatures. My team, I mean, volunteers, a lot of our activists helped verify the signatures as well on the front end as much as we could. But it really is a tedious process to have to try and verify, signatures collected by 36,000 people. It's just, it is a lot. It is a lot of work. So we understand that they need to do their due diligence as well.
Again, if you're just joining us, guest right now is Carla Sierra, Grassroots Engagement Director for the Libre Initiative here in El Paso and in Texas here. You want to find any more information about this group, their organization, what they do here, you can find them at Libre Texas. That's at Libre Texas. Find them there on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram there, particularly over on the Facebook page, again, facebook.com/Libre Texas. Specifically, there is the picture that you all took last Friday in front of the courthouse showing the roughly 6 bankers boxes loaded up on a cart there in front of the county courthouse as you were delivering them say, hey, we're submitting this petition.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a huge accomplishment, not just by the Libre team and my staff. I mean, I have a group of 8 that stuck through with me the entire 6 to 8 weeks that we were working on this project. But this was a joint effort by the entire community. I mean, those signatures in those boxes were collected from all corners of the county. Tornillo, Clint, Canotillo, and so a lot of folks really spoke up and said, we need to do something about this, and we want to sign this petition and make sure that we are able to get a vote on this.
So then, of course, next steps here being that we got that we have the vote actually coming from county commissioners. That will be again happening October 3rd, that Monday, first Monday of the next month here. But you all actually have some further action plan. Kind of, it's not a totally wait and see kind of situation for you all here. You have some action plan kind of in between that, right?
Of course, yes. So, I mean, Libre has been in El Paso since 2016, and overall, our organization has been in existence since 2011. Primarily here in El Paso, we have been doing financial literacy workshops, ESL classes, policy forums, and things of that nature. But this was an issue that we just really felt we had to engage and kind of, educate our community about, because COs, certificates of obligation, are really something that could be detrimental to our communities. And so now next steps are, of course, waiting to see what happens with the verification, which will be, really nerve-wracking for the next few weeks. But we want to continue the momentum. We're still getting people that are calling us, emailing us, saying, can I still turn in my signatures? And we're kind of directing them and saying, you know what, we're going to have a rally on September 29th, right before the vote. Just want to make sure that our county commissioners, do see that our community is coming out and opposing this huge expenditure. So that will be probably our next event in terms of, the petition drive and everything that we did during these efforts.
And of course, you said that will be happening September 29th. That's 2 weeks from today, actually, here. And of course, the Thursday right before that, then Monday vote here. Do you have any of the details on when to gather, how you're going to handle it just yet?
Yeah, so we will hopefully gather some of the folks to sign the petition. Of course, our team will be there. Any volunteers? This will be open to the public, so anyone's welcome to attend. And then, we'll be out there in front of the county courthouse, just kind of letting our commissioners know that we are interested in this vote, and it is really important for our community to be able to vote the right way. And the reason why we did this is because El Pasoans deserve a right to vote on this. This is a lot of money. We are already one of the highest taxed communities in the state, also in the country, as a lot of people know. And we just want our opportunity to vote on this very important issue. So it will be at 7:45 in front of the courthouse at 500 San Antonio Street, and anyone is welcome to join us and come and participate in that.
So that morning, then.
Yes, so the 29th at about 7:45.
7:45 in the morning there.
Yes.
Again, so that'll be happening there. I'm sure you'll have that posted up on your social and other information there.
Exactly, we will.
Absolutely. So again, in studio here with us right now is Carla Sierra, again, the Grassroots Engagement Director for the Libre Initiative here in El Paso. Again, want to find out any more information about them, details on that upcoming rally and the overall drives that they've been doing here. Look for them, Libre Texas, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram here. So we're going to continue that conversation with her here shortly. But in the meantime, we've got to take that break right now. So stay tuned for more Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, continue our conversation about this and some of the other factors going into it here with the Libre Initiative here in Texas. But again, a whole lot more comments over on the social media, phone calls a little bit later, but all that and more to come here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update. A petition to remove El Paso District Attorney Ivan Rosales from office will move forward, according to defense attorney Omar Carmona. Carmona confirmed Judge Tyrone Lewis of Odessa yesterday granted Carmona's application for a citation and ordered that citation be issued to Rosales. Rosales will have an opportunity to file a denial. County Attorney Joanne Bernal will next decide whether to prosecute or dismiss the petition to remove Rosales. And a man who secretly recorded prepubescent boys and girls in retail stores across El Paso has been sentenced to life in prison for numerous counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. The case was referred to the FBI after executing a search warrant at his home in El Paso. Agents discovered more than 65 electronic devices, including laptops, desktop computers, computer hard drives, cell phones, thumb drives, and tablets, and to date approximately 1 million images and videos constituting child porn and child erotica had been found on Gonzalez's devices. I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
I-10 westbound at the Cotton Street exit. An earlier crash has got 3 vehicles up on the left shoulder. Stay right. Gateway Boulevard westbound at Loma Land, an accident reported. Stop-and-go traffic on the 10 eastbound between Piedras and Chelsea. Got an accident reported Lee Trevino southbound before Vista del Sol, and a crash with injuries Montwood Drive westbound before Yarborough at Mosswood. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
After a few days of showers and storms, drier weather has taken over along with unseasonably warm temperatures. Expect a mostly clear sky tonight with overnight lows ranging from the low 60s in Las Cruces to the middle 60s here in El Paso. Coming up tonight, we'll talk about how long these quiet skies will last, plus a look at your weekend forecast. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kira Miner.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples offers tech solutions, services, and accessories for learners, small business, and remote workers. Save up to $260 on select PCs. Plus, save 25% on Staples total support to protect your PC. In-store only. Offer ends 9/17. Limit 2 while supplies last. Staples, the working and learning store.
The United States had its biggest spike in murders ever recorded last year. That's according to a new report out from the FBI.
Across America, crime has exploded. Police officers killed in the line of duty, 28 in Texas alone. Here's what Beto O'Rourke had to say.
I really love that Black Lives Matters and other protesters have put this front and center to defund police forces.
That's right. Beto O'Rourke stands with groups that support defunding and dismantling the police. But it gets worse. Listen to this from Beto.
The criminal justice system is just part of a larger system rooted in slavery that is alive and well in this country today.
Defund the police, comparing criminal justice to slavery. That's Beto O'Rourke. He is too radical, too dangerous for Texas. And it's why Beto O'Rourke should never be governor of Texas.
Political ad paid for by Texans for Greg Abbott.
For the local issues and discussion you won't get anywhere else, turn to Talk El Paso, weekdays at 4 right here on News Radio 690 KTSM, brought to you in part by the El Paso Community Foundation. Sound off on what matters to you, Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m., and let's talk El Paso.
Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big. Blindster.com. This report is sponsored by Blindster.
Freedom of speech lives here.
To me, freedom of speech is being able to say anything you want.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Welcome back here to Talk El Paso, airing on News Radio 690 KTSM. I am your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on our many social media pages these days, Facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter @Talk El Paso, or Twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. So we got a lot of comments coming over there as we continue our interview here. Still joined here in studio by Carla Sierra, Grassroots Engagement Director with the Libre Initiative here in town. So thank you very much for sticking around with us here.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity again.
Absolutely happy to talk to you about this, because this has been of quite a lot of interest for our audience and for those in the community at large here. Again, talking specifically about y'all's efforts, the petition drive that is currently under review when it comes to that, again, $345 and change $1 million being sought, not to exceed $400 million certificate of obligation bond being put forth by the El Paso County Hospital District, also known as UMC, technically in different ways, but a lot of course, it kind of goes downstream from there. One's a large organization, one is the kind of most public-facing organization under it here. So again, you all submitted your signatures last Friday, and the review process is under place here. So for those that aren't familiar, I feel like a lot of the conversation for you all has come around this effort here. You mentioned you all been here in town since about 2016, organization existing for more than the last decade here. But really, how did this specific drive, this effort come about?
So we typically do engage in policy initiatives. I mean, around the country, local, state, or federal. As I mentioned before, I just don't come from a political background, and most of the things that we've been doing in El Paso have been, a lot of community building, financial literacy workshops, ESL classes. We have a lot of activity coming up for Hispanic Heritage Month, so we're actually sponsoring the Chihuahua game this evening and things like that. But we really haven't engaged in any local issues since we've been here, and it just wasn't something that I particularly wanted to do. But property taxes are a problem here. I'm a homeowner. I hear a lot of folks complaining about property taxes. What can we do about them? And a lot of this initiative took just kind of educating our community about property taxes, about our taxing entities, about certificates of obligation, especially because unfortunately they're really foreign topics to a lot of people. Like I mentioned, you get your property tax bill at the end of the year, you pay it, and it's like, you complain about it, but you don't really dive into, okay, what's behind all these numbers? Like, why am I getting charged so much money? And so we really wanted to use the law that was passed during last legislative session and really, inform our community, educate them, but also get them engaged in this very important issue that could potentially, kind of keep our property taxes at bay if possible. So
this kind of falls into the vein of when we talked this previously, and this was of prior legislative sessions, not one of the most recent ones, but I want to say back in the mid 2010s or even before that, technically, of say the rollback tax rate here, that there's a certain amount that any local government entity can raise their taxes, beyond which point it has to go onto the ballot. So it could be considered in this new law, this new Texas Local Government Code provision, in the same vein, if not exactly the same way. And essentially what you all are seeking here through this petition, again, currently under review and the verification going on with county commissioners here, that this would then essentially force it onto the ballot. It would kind of remove it from the hands of county commissioners, which again is the point of the provision there, to then require it to go onto the ballot to then go on to public approval.
That's correct. So if we are able to get all of the 25,000 signatures verified and valid, then they would need to put it on the ballot. Unfortunately, we did miss a cutoff for a November ballot, so it would go in the May ballot of next year.
And of course, there are some more factors, and that we'll get to here in just a second. But just with this initiative, and we got the vote coming up on October 3rd, and you all having the rally in front of the courthouse on September 29th here. What are some of your expectations? Again, I'm assuming that you all are hoping for success with this, and that it will be able to move forward, and that it would end up on, again, that upcoming May ballot here. But if that were not to be the case, again, what are some of your expectations for what the reality of this is right now? And if it turns out to not be accepted, and say then commissioners, that the vote could then get kicked back to them, essentially decide that they are going to approve it, what comes next? What are some of the considerations y'all have?
Yeah, so we have considered that, of course. I mean, we are hoping that they will be valid. I mean, we have a pretty good cushion there with 36,000 that were submitted, and we really were reaching out to registered voters and making sure and validating as much as we could that they were registered voters in the county. But the next kind of plan for us is to put a little bit of pressure on the county commissioners court as well. Obviously, we know the vote that there were some that voted for it, some that voted against it. But ultimately, I mean, these are their constituents, and I don't think that 35,000 people in our county should be ignored. Like you mentioned a little bit ago, our voter turnout's pretty low here in El Paso, but
Yeah.
it seems
Mhm.
like this is an issue that people from all walks of life, different political parties, different socioeconomic paths and things like that. I mean, we were all able to come together on this one issue and collect 5,000 plus signatures in El Paso County. And so for us, the rally will certainly make a statement. Hopefully, we don't know what's going to happen on Monday, October 3rd, but the rally is really to help motivate and also, show visually to our county commissioners that El Pasoans do care about this and we want the opportunity to vote on this very important issue.
Again, guest right now here in studio with us, Carla Sierra, Grassroots Engagement Director for the Libre Initiative here in El Paso. Again, you want to find out any more information about them, some of the details, both on, this petition drive, the picture they had of them turning in the signatures, as well as the upcoming events and rallies they're going to be holding at Libre, Texas. Find them again, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under that tag and under that handle. Again, LIBRE Texas on those pages. They are here. So, of course, y'all been present in town, you mentioned, since about 2016. And again, this is kind of, I guess, would it be accurate to call this one of your first real kind of public policy adjustments you've been seeking here? Again, you've been a lot of education, as you mentioned here. Would you just call this kind of your first foray into then not just, responding to policy, but actively trying to, deal with it and interact with it?
Yes. I mean, this is really the biggest effort in terms of policy that we've really, said, hey, we're going to step up to the plate and see how we can get this taken care of in a very, very short amount of time. I mean, myself, my team, we worked like tirelessly to make sure that we try to make sure this happened. Door knocking, phone calls, events. I mean, you name it. We really tried to make sure that we were able to accomplish this in less than 6 weeks' time. But this, there are obviously other issues that we've tried to tackle here.
Mhm.
Immigration is certainly something that we've tackled on a national
Mhm.
level. We have hosted, policy forums and things of that nature to try and educate folks about that particular issue. Because I mean, we live on the border, and unfortunately, there really aren't any real solutions for dreamers and DACA recipients at the moment. But this local issue, for whatever reason, I mean, we were really able to get a lot of attention, from the community, from the media. Not all positive, of course, but I think overall, I mean, I would say that 80 to 85% of the folks that we talked about or talked to about this particular issue, it didn't matter who we were, where we came from, whether we were here for 1 day or 6 years or 10 years. I mean, they were actually very appreciative that there was finally a group
Mhm.
in El Paso that was helping them lower their property taxes and was doing something about it. And so it was mostly positive for us, to be honest.
So, of course, there's been some response in getting into some of the issues or controversy surrounding this whole effort, and part of it here, one of the responses, particularly from the county hospital district, UMC, etc., has been about part of the way this has been portrayed, about specifically on some of the information. I don't think the envelope we got in front of you there is from you all specifically, but some of the numbers have been getting thrown around have been about a 22% property tax increase here. And essentially, when we had on Ryan Milkey and John Law from UMC, they took issue with that on essentially is calling that not representative of what the actual situation here is, because I would say that there might be someone out there who could take that as your overall taxes are going up 22%, 22%. But essentially, the contention that you all and similar groups have had is that this portion of your taxes, essentially, if you're thinking about the whole property tax pie, this one slice of it is then going to be going up by essentially that much potentially.
Exactly. And I completely understand how that can be misinterpreted. But kind of getting back to the reason why this all started is because there was a lack of transparency on UMC's part from the beginning in this project. They tried to sneak this by our community. That was definitely showing a lack of disrespect for the El Paso community and saying, "Hey, we're just going to pass this expenditure. No one's ever going to find out." And unfortunately, we did find out. And so, that is certainly a huge problem for us, for Libre. I mean, to try and pass something by this, us, because I'm from here as well, and saying, no one's ever going to find out. But unfortunately, you know, that recording was leaked, people found out, and a lot of people wanted to do something about it, and that's why we jumped on this. I've come out several times, interviews,
Mm.
newspapers and things like that, and saying, we apologize. We understand how that can be misleading, the 22%. But Libre was specifically talking about a 22% increase specifically for UMC, that taxing entity, nobody else. And obviously, 2% increase sounds a lot better than 22% increase. And so, as they kind of shifted, they started saying 2%, but that includes all of the 5 taxing entities, not just their portion. And so on our Facebook page, social media, I've come out openly and said, I understand that is misleading. And this is where we got that number, and this is why we are talking to folks about that number. When people ask us, we will gladly say that is only UMC's portion. And so I've done several interviews, at Libre Texas, like you mentioned, where I have come out and said, we apologize. Like, I can see how that's confusing, and we're okay with saying, like, you know what, we made a mistake. Let's correct this, and this is where we're getting our information from, and this is why we're using the 22%. Which, and we did the math on the previous show that you and I kind of had a few weeks ago. And that's where we got the 22% from. That was from what they requested at Commissioner's Court on June 27th. And that was the percentage of the rate increase they wanted to see for their portion.
And one other factor that's come up here, as you mentioned, of course, this avenue then go on to the May ballot here. So it wouldn't be, even if, again, going out to the voters here, not on this upcoming November 1, the one we are still on that countdown for roughly 50 days and change out of here, definitely getting closer. This would be on the May one here. Part of something else said by, again, the UMC officials we're talking about here is that would add, by their estimation, some tens of millions of dollars of cost. I want to say in the order of $20 to $30 million, they say, of that delay, if that were to then be put onto that ballot and then approved by voters here. So it comes to that level of concern here that if this does end up then being approved, even if it's on the ballot, of that extra cost, how do you respond to that?
I mean, that's a much lower cost than, the roughly $563 million that it would cost if this were to go through with inflation and interest rates. So I think El Pasoans would see that as almost a win, to having to, pay that than having to pay what they're asking for now through 2047, because this is not just a 1 year kind of, hey, you're only going to pay this increase for 1 year. They're saying that this would be for at least 20, the next 20 plus years. And so, I mean, I think El Pasoans would be okay with that. And honestly, I think they would be very proud of themselves for rallying together and being able to put this on the ballot and saying, hey, we want to vote on this thing. So, that really was the reason for us starting this initiative. Is saying we El Pasoans have a right to vote on this issue.
Again, guest right now has been Carla Sierra, Grassroots Engagement Director with the Libre Initiative. Again, you want to find out any more details about them, find them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Libre Texas, Libre Texas, here to find out the details and, of course, upcoming things that they'll be working on here. So thank you very much, Carla, for coming by and talking with us today about these complex issues, how you're all handling them, and what kind of next steps are from there here today.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity again. And anyone that is willing to talk to us about who we are, what we do, and that we really want the best for the community. And that's why we took on this very important and obviously contentious issue, right? So we thank everyone for the opportunity to hear us out.
Absolutely here. So that's going to take us through our next break of the hour here right now. So coming out of this break, we will go ahead and open up those phone lines as we normally do. So if you want to get on the line, that number to do so there is 915-544-5876, 915-544 KTSM. A lot of comments over on the social media. We'll get to those as well, cramming in everything that we can, again, through the rest of the show here. Again, phone line 915-544-5876, 544 KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Slow and stop and go on the I-10 in both directions for your El Paso afternoon. I-10 eastbound, Cotton to Paisano. That is bumper to bumper, 5-minute delays. I-10 westbound is slow from Airway to Cotton with 7-minute delays. I-10 westbound at Cotton, that earlier crash has got all the vehicles over to the left. A crash reported I-10 eastbound at Piedras and downtown El Paso at 4th Avenue. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Blindster. Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big. Blindster.com.
You wash your hands and brush your teeth, but what about your nose? How do you clean your nose? with Navage. Navage pulls saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, dirt, and germs, and it's why nose cleaning is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons: sinusitis, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they also find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Nearly 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying things like, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. That's because Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less. But the biggest payoff is improved health. Here's the key point. Navage is good personal hygiene, and it's going to help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
It's time for the Paso del Norte Gun Show. Saturday and Sunday, September 17th and 18th at the Elmeda Shrine Temple, 6331 Alabama. El Paso's original gun collector show continues to be a favorite event for gun enthusiasts since 1965. Check out etched weapons and Western memorabilia. Trade, sell, or browse the gun show Saturday from 9 to 5 and Sunday 10 to 4. Adults $7, ages 18 and under $5. Must be accompanied by an adult. No pets allowed. Free parking. Don't miss the original Fall Paso del Norte Gun Show.
Talk El Paso, bringing you the biggest stories from the borderland and beyond, 4 to 6 p.m. every weekday, brought to you in part by Sergio Lewis Body Shop. Call the pros at 915-593-0191. That's Talk El Paso, Monday through Friday at 4, right here on News Radio 690 KTSM.
For more than 20 years, the Window Depot has provided the best price and the biggest inventory on in-stock vinyl windows. And now the Window Depot is more than a window store, offering homeowners and contractors a one-stop warehouse full of interior and exterior doors, granite and quartz countertops, in-stock cabinetry, and flooring and tile to finish your project. Their team of professionals will help with everything from pre-kitchen design to custom orders from leading manufacturers like Milgard and Geldwin. Order online or find a location near you at thewindowdepot.com.
Summer is winding down, but business needs keep ramping up. Check out Indeed, the all-in-one hiring solution that helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Foodies, celebrate Restaurant Week September 23rd through 30th. Visit downtownelpaso.com for special menus and details.
News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. A lot of ways to interact with the show, particularly at this point during the program. We're going to have that phone line open here now, 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM for add your 2 cents, questions, comments, concerns, etc. here. As also a lot of comments coming in, of course, over on our social media channels here. I think we'll focus on those here for just a second. So getting to the calls here in a bit. But some of the comments here at the start here, John Browselton correctly reporting here about the calling it border state revenge with Arizona, Florida, and Texas, sending people to D.C., NY, and Chicago. The vice president's official D.C. residence in Martha's Vineyard. Again, there's a level of both using of people to make a political point. I still have some compunction about, but also the fact that when it's talked about, oh, how can we possibly deal with this? Like, seriously? You're gonna tell us where it's coming from and the busting that's been happening from here, that, man, we can't possibly deal with that, and yet you're just like, well, it's fine if you deal with it, is the subtext there. Anyway, and RJ commenting over on the YouTube channel about the district attorney and the filings there, saying that Rosales will be suspended during the trial. Anyone got an interview with her yet? She seems vindictive and angry about this lawsuit, avoiding responsibility here. Again, El Paso Wink did have an interview with her from about the end of August here with some response here, but again, we have an open invitation going out on that point here. Would love to speak with her or someone from the office even further here. Made that clear. Steve Ivey also talking about rain on in that neck of the woods there, getting some rain on the fence here, as well as Flaco Menace, and when we were talking about the sheriff, Richard Wiles, and his concern about the law enforcement implications for the current surge we're seeing in our area, saying that Wiles should borrow a cannon from the circus he belongs to shoot them back over the border here. I'll take that as the tongue-in-cheek that it's intended here. And Stephen Christopher commenting on a lot of response to it there. So don't worry, the administration press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, said they are not just walking across here. And a lot of comments coming back on that, including John Brazelton saying she doesn't know that there's a river along the southern border. They're wading across here. Maria Coleman saying, no, yes, she's correct. They are wading and swimming across here. So a lot of commentary there now. And Maria Coleman pointing out that, what was hinted at by our news partners over there at KFOX 14, as Stephanie has ciphered, this kid reported there about what the city manager had to say, including about trying to get back that whole Great Wolf Lodge project here. You may recall that coming up, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that and delve more into the details with Stephanie next time we speak with her about how there was both that land swap and then the kind of not exactly reneging on the deal, but essentially the deal falling through because it happened, if I'm not mistaken, late 2019, early 2020. And all of the, very just super profitable and promising business deals that were definitely happening, and didn't it all fall apart after that point here? Of course, the pandemic happened shortly thereafter, and a whole lot of goals, deals, etc. didn't end up happening after that here. But again, to our interview today, Ion Grimm saying thank you to Carla with the grassroots engagement part of it here. Again, she, the grassroots engagement director with the Libre Initiative here, specifically for the Texas sector and in El Paso, saying further on, Ion Grimm saying, very much appreciated by the citizens of El Paso. Keep letting us know what we can do to assist here. So a lot of comments coming in there in a lot of different ways, and we'll keep those going here. Ion Grimm saying maybe they can use a boat and come up the Rio Grande. Oh, wait, they'll run into some people there. An interesting perspective coming from that here. But, of course, we'll continue our conversation on that here. But already due for that top of the next hour and coming into that news break there. So if you're on the phone line, stay there. We'll get to those calls here shortly. If you want to get on the phone line, that number again to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Definitely get into a lot more of the calls, comments, and everything we do, taking those calls throughout the rest of the hour here, and also dropping those likes and reacts we do appreciate over on the social media. Robbie Flores, Monica Cervantes, Ion Grimm, Ida Beza, Gardner, Flaco Jimenez, and of course Carla Sierra there, sharing the stream there as well. We do appreciate it. So back with all of that and a whole lot more after this break. Again, you are tuned into Talk El Paso, airing live here on News Radio 690 KTSM. That number one more time, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back after this break with more here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Don't go anywhere.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Slow and stop and go on the I-10 in both directions for your El Paso afternoon. I-10 eastbound, Cotton to Paisano. That is bumper to bumper, 5-minute delays. I-10 westbound is slow from Airway to Cotton with 7-minute delays. I-10 westbound at Cotton, that earlier crash has got all the vehicles over to the left. A crash reported I-10 eastbound at Piedras and downtown El Paso at 4th Avenue. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Former President Trump just made a big post to his Truth Social, and he's praising Dick Morris's new book, The Return. Trump says Dick Morris's bestseller is a great book and urges you to get it. The Return reveals Trump is running again and will even win. It's even predicted recent events. The Return alleges that big media, big tech, and the deep state have formed a secret alliance to stop Trump no matter what. But Morris predicts they will fail. Trump calls The Return fantastic, and Dick Morris is a real pro. And Newsmax says The Return is the book of the year. Already an Amazon #1 bestseller, you need to get Dick Morris's The Return in bookstores everywhere. Or check out the free offer from Newsmax and save $28. Just call 800-NEWSMAX. That's 800-NEWSMAX. Or go to thereturn911.com. Thereturn911.com. And get your copy today.
News on the hour and a half. Traffic and weather all day.
I don't watch television, so I get all my news from you.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
If you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For everyone here. We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies us. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely, like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National
News
Highway
on
Traffic
the hour
Safety
and
Administration
the half.
and the ad council.
Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian Shook. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is sticking to his promise to ship illegal immigrants to sanctuary cities in Democrat-controlled states. The latest example, he just sent 2 planes of illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard, the swanky vacation island in Massachusetts.
We've worked on innovative ways to be able to protect the state of Florida from the impact of Biden's border policy.
Some local officials said they were caught off guard, but welcomed them with open arms. Meantime, a new bill looks to take the pressure off border cities, which are being flooded with illegal immigrants. Senator Ted Cruz wants to set up processing centers away from the border. Amtrak says it's working quickly to restore long-distance train trips that were canceled. This comes after a tentative agreement was reached between rail unions and freight railways. Amtrak announced it was canceling all long-distance routes in fear of a strike that would shut freight rail lines down. There's still a possibility that Fulton County's district attorney could subpoena former President Donald Trump.
DA Fonnie Willis is investigating Georgia's 2020 elections with the help of a special purpose grand jury. And prosecutors have already subpoenaed all 16 Republicans who tried to act as Trump electors in the state. While Willis previously hasn't ruled out subpoenaing Trump, the AJC reports she refused to comment about the matter to the publication. But defense attorney Don Samuel tells the newspaper there's a concern such a move at the state level would merely be an attempt to force Trump to plead the fifth and make him look bad in front of grand jurors. I'm Liz Kennedy.
Saturday Night Live is announcing 4 new cast members for this upcoming season. The show tweeted that Marcelo Hernandez, Molly Kearney, Michael Longfellow, and Devin Walker will be joining the longtime sketch comedy. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio. The former assistant to ex-New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is filing a discrimination lawsuit against him. Jennifer Polsoni reports.
Charlotte Bennett's lawsuit seeks unspecified damages with claims that the former governor repeatedly subjected her to humiliating sexual harassment and tried to smear her as a liar when she went public. The suit also naming Cuomo's former top aide Melissa DeRosa and 2 other assistants who allegedly aided and abetted him. Cuomo has denied all allegations against him and also comes on the heels of him filing an ethics complaint against New York's Attorney General in connection with his sexual harassment investigation.
The average 30-year mortgage rate is just over 6% for the first time since 2008. New data from Freddie Mac shows the new level is double what it was the same time last year. Fire crews throughout California should see some relief this weekend fighting wildfires thanks to the weather. Jordan Christmas has more.
The weather is a welcome change from the recent heat wave, and it should provide a little help to fire crews who are battling wildfires. Hannah Chandler with the National Weather Service says a little rainfall is always beneficial.
Rain is always beneficial. It can definitely help with ongoing fires and help tamping down those fires.
While intense rain during the fire season usually comes with some mudslides, Chandler said this weekend's rain should be a bit lighter, and officials don't expect any type of debris flow.
A traffic ticket issued to a pregnant Texas woman for driving alone in a high-occupancy vehicle lane is raising questions about fetal personhood. Brandy Batone claimed that the state's abortion laws consider a fetus a living being, so the state's traffic laws should regard her unborn child as a passenger. The Dallas County DA's office dismissed her ticket, but she got a second one in August. Legal experts say the incident emphasizes the question of what it may mean to treat a fetus as a person. Brian Shook, NBC News Radio.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival,
where the biggest stars from all walks of music come together.
September 23rd and 24th, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Limited seats are still available at AXS.com or stream it live on the CW app and CWTV.com.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival is connecting all of us.
Brought to you by the CW's new hit series, All American Homecoming. Stream every episode now for free, only on the CW app.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Don't miss the energy savings event at Lowe's. Save energy and save money on select major appliances, including Whirlpool. Selection varies by location. Exclusions apply. Visit Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 9/28.
The El Paso Community Foundation supports the causes you feel passionate about here in the borderland, whether it's education, social services, arts and culture, the environment, health, or economic development. The El Paso Community Foundation has been promoting philanthropy and progress in our hometown region for more than 45 years. Make your mark with us. Start a fund today. For good, for El Paso, forever. Learn more at epcf.org. That's epcf.org.
If you think making false threats is a joke, think again. Any communication threatening students, teachers, and staff at schools or public places is a federal crime that could lock people behind prison doors for up to 5 years.
I'm FBI Deputy Director David Bowditch, making you aware that hoax threats have real consequences. We don't want to see a young person begin their adult lives with a felony record.
Making false threats is not a joke. Think before you post. Visit FBI.gov.
Why should you volunteer with Meals on Wheels?
I never thought that 5 minutes could make so much difference in the lives of two people, but it has.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org. Brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so. Be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the very many social media pages. We're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of stuff we're talking about here today. Of course, we're keeping the conversation going in a variety of ways. A lot of ways you can tune in and chime into the show here. Of course, we got the social media pages just mentioned there. A lot of comments coming in there, including Kathy Codry, Ion Graham, Glenn Stewart, Maria Kalman, RJ, John Brazelton, Robert Carrasco, Stephen Christopher, Flaco Jimenez, Steve Ivey, and more. Ida Beza Gardner. Big quotes towards the start of the show here. Dropping those likes and reacts. Again, over on the Facebook that we do appreciate. We have Carlos Sierra, Robbie Flores, Monica Cervantes, Carla Sierra, Ion Graham, Ida Beza Gardner, and Flaco Jimenez. We do appreciate it. Kathy Codry reflecting on the YouTube page anyway, about what's going on with the immigration and the releases happening in situations in our area, saying those little green tents lined up and down the streets of El Paso is totally unacceptable, unhealthy living conditions. I don't think they're going to find anyone really disputing that here, because if anyone's going to call that a good situation, I'm going to have several questions about their perception of other things here, and asking more specifically, isn't that illegal to camp out on the sidewalk here? As far as I could find here, yes, I was recalling that there was in a recent Texas legislative session, as much as we've been talking about some laws passed there, but the one that came into effect September of last year, according to KVUE, quickest article I could find on here, HB 1925, that Texans can face up to a $500 and Class C misdemeanor if they camp in a public space. So, wonder if there's some special provision, permits, or otherwise it's been applied for in this case here. And make another observation that is definitely one I thought here. Those tents are all identical. Someone or organization provided them, and yep, I'll agree with that, because it's not the kind of hodgepodge you usually see in, let's say, encampments of the unhoused tend not to be that identical there. And yeah, the implications coming from that are definitely pretty significant here. A lot of other comments coming in there on some of these issues and the parts of it here. But of course, we also have that phone line open now. If you're wanting to get on the line that way, add your 2 cents in that manner. That number to call is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We have some callers on the line here right now. Let's go ahead and start with, we have Frankie and Messia on the line with us right now. Frankie, thanks for joining us.
You cannot be serious. What is this monumental madness? I just heard not too long ago the most declarative, deleterious demagoguery ever from this orange Cheeto flavored Tumalard, and I speak of the Donnie Doofus, who actually said on some conservative radio ranting person that, hey, if you indict me, there's going to be problems. That, to me, is the most, not even thinly veiled. We're not even talking. That is like flat out in your face. I am going to cause such problems in the United States of America. You people will be so sorry to hear this. This is incitement of riot. This is terroristic threats. What is the matter with you people? This guy is the most nuttiest human being, and is only seconded by you morons that support him. And that's what I want to get off my chest right out of the box.
Okay, I get what you're saying here, but you also do have to admit here that given the amount of support that is still being expressed for the former president you're talking about there, if it is not, I mean, there are plenty out there that have a lot of political ambitions or political goals that would love to see from dealing with a former president in such a way by getting any kind of no pun intended, trumped up charges, that kind of a thing here. There are those that would absolutely love to see it, some of whom call in on this show. But to the larger point here, if it's not handled very carefully here and not being dealt with in an absolutely almost like slam dunk kind of way here, yeah, I would almost expect that whether or not he's calling for it here. And I can honestly say I'm not surprised that the former president would say such a thing, because it's very much a part of his character, and it pretty much always has been, very much, aggrandizing and talking about how much power control he has. I mean, it's not exactly out of character in any way, and that really puts the onus, I would say, in this situation on any of those doing any investigations to make sure that they are doing everything, and I do mean everything, exactly correctly, and even going above and beyond to make sure they're doing it correctly, if not only because of this situation, but also because of any of the precedents that this is going to set. Yes, it is incredibly tempting to think about the short-term political goal, and particularly of those that want to say, well, let's just resign this guy to, the dustbin of history kind of mentality coming out of it, and just get rid of him, make sure he can never come back. Like, sure, there are those that want to do that, but not considering, again, as we have often called out here, the concept of short-term political game versus the precedents and what that's going to mean for the long term, wanting to lob the grenade at the other side and never thinking that, no, there'll never be a grenade or a nuke coming back my way, politically speaking, is more than a little bit of the problems I think that we're dealing with now stem from that kind of a situation here. So I would say, even regardless, even outside of any specific statements being made here, if this is not being handled with incredible care, clarity, and ultimately transparency, they are asking for problems with this, be it given the amount of just the magnitude of the issues that could come from that and how that could play out in not even just days and weeks, but years later on.
I hear what you're saying, but I myself, and I think the majority of people here, especially in the Southwest border region, would recognize that here in the United States of America, we're a land of laws. And if you do not apply them fairly across the board, then you don't have laws. Now, why is this guy so special? I don't care. Why in the world? Because he was a failed president. I don't care. The law is the law, and he is no different than anybody else. And also, one last thing. Go Amber Palmer. And what is it? Because I didn't hear anything more about it. Again, Amber, if they're screwing over you in El Paso, you come over here to the land of enchantment. We'll take you. That's what I want to say.
All right, well, fair enough. Well, thanks for the point in the call. Do appreciate it. All right, let's get to a couple more calls here on the line here. Again, if you want to get on the line, that number to do so is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. We do have Jerry on the west side here with us right now. Jerry, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for taking my call. Andrew, appreciate it. I have a couple of questions for you, sir. Is it against the law to have sex with a 5-year-old?
I do believe so.
Okay, is it immoral to have sex with a 5-year-old?
I would say, regardless of what the law says, it is definitely immoral.
Is it unethical to have sex with a 5-year-old?
I'm going to go with a yes there as well.
Okay, well, so if somebody wants to protect a individual and say don't judge them because they're having sex with a 5-year-old, is it okay for us to judge her and say you're immoral and unethical because it's against the law to have sex with a 5-year-old?
Referring there to the situation there with I believe it was the previous caller was referring to there the former apparently Franklin High School English teacher Amber Palmer. You're talking about there. Let me put it this way. Again, an 18-second clip, I have a lot of issues with any judgment being made here because let's just say you're trying to portray the statements being made by someone that you disagree with here. And someone says, well, what are they talking about? I don't get why you're disagreeing with them. And you say, okay, well, this is what they're talking about. And you put it in ways, then, it probably put a little extra spice and a little bit of emphasis on it here to really show off why you find it reprehensible. And someone were to then take that clip of you saying what they had said, what you're portraying the people you disagree with saying and saying, well, this is clearly their sincerely held belief. Now, I've had some conversations with some people about maybe sarcasm not being the best use and purpose in a classroom here, and maybe not being a good way of doing it here. But again, discuss it. I mean, you're going to have finding me having a hard time saying that, no, things should not be discussed. We should not be allowed to talk about such things because I'm very much opposed to that here. So if this was someone's sincerely held belief, them saying that, oh, yeah, no, 5-year-old kids definitely on the menu here and anything you want to do with them here, I'm going to find myself not associating with that person in any way, shape, or form here. Should they be allowed to say it? That's one thing here. But also, if it's them portraying a belief that they patently and by their own admission do not believe, should that also mean that they can't even say the statement? That's one of the larger questions we're getting at here, I think.
Well, she actually said, do not judge people that want to have sex with a 5-year-old. That's her quote. That's a quote from her. So she is basically telling her students that they cannot judge somebody that can be judged in a court of law for having sex with a 5-year-old.
But again, context is key here because as one of the students professing to be from her classroom said to our news partners over there at KFOX 14 that she was portraying that mindset of someone who would support this, and that's something that she did not sincerely hold themselves here, discussing the point and portraying it maybe in kind of a straw man kind of way here. But I mean, if this was this person's sincerely held belief here, yes, would find myself vehemently disagreeing with them here. But again, their ability to even say what someone they disagree with, their viewpoint is I don't think that's going to have the sum total effect you want it to in, our community or in our society.
Well, everybody's construing all of this when those were her words. Do not judge somebody that wants to have sex with a 5-year-old. So,
okay, well, let's take an example right there. Hold on, Jerry. Hold on 1 second here. Jerry.
Yeah, there have been a lot of cases where people have said things.
Sure, Jerry, but let's take one example right here. If I was to take that 5-second clip of you saying that phrase right now and playing that back, say, look, Jerry just said what you just said. Those were your exact words. And you would then argue, no, I'm quoting someone else here. That's the exact same argument. Again, I am very sincere in my belief that I would never want to be judged in my entire life solely on an 18-second clip of what I've said. I've been known to use sarcasm more than a little bit in this program here. And if someone were to then take that as no, this is sincerely held belief, this is what he said flat out, that is why context is key there. So again, you're welcome to your belief on here, but if you're saying that no, someone reading a quote here or saying something that can never mean anything else besides the flat reading of the words here is kind of ignoring the situation. I mean, there's got to be something along those lines that has to be said here, right?
Well, yeah, please give me a chance to defend myself here.
Yeah, of course.
All right, because I understand what a devil's advocate is.
Absolutely.
Okay, but I'm making a point here.
Mm-hmm.
Because people that are calling people Donnie Dotar and fat red guys and stuff like that,
sure,
are taking stuff out of context, and they're taking one or two words and they're putting it to him, and then they say he's guilty, he's guilty, he's guilty, and they're not giving him the chance to defend himself in a court of law. They've already decided.
I mean, I would say that applies as well. Yeah,
I'm talking about coming from Messiah has a habit of calling in and making points that are not even good points to make. And then he wants to call them names and stuff. And Foolish Frankie is one that he doesn't like. Well, he's fascist Foolish Frankie to me. But he does the exact same thing of what everybody else is doing, and then he gets away with it on your program. So I'm sorry that I see it that way, but that's the way I see it.
No, you're entitled to your opinion on it here, but when we talk about, these being standards and things that we should be seeing enforced, or the way we are allowed to talk about things within our community and our society here, I mean, sure, the fact that we are talking about them saying, well, this standard applies one place and not the other, yeah, that's called hypocrisy, and I do find myself opposed to that in general as well here. And the ability to call people out about that is very key and important here, but imagine how flat any argument you're making would fall if you're not able to quote what someone is saying without it being then conflated with being your sincere statements.
Okay, I agree with you on that.
Fair enough.
And the lady should be having a chance to defend herself. Okay, but the words that were put out, okay, and I haven't heard any words from her at all that contrary, but the words that were put out were not favorable and conducive to instruction for people that are that age. Okay, so, and the one that's also pushing all this from Messia has a mental indeficiency, so, and he probably has an alcoholic habit that's interfering with his train of thought. All right, thank you, Andrew, for taking my call.
Sure
Have
thing.
a good day.
Thank you for the part in the call. Do appreciate it. I do believe your last statement there is by that previous caller's own admission as well here. So, I mean, we got a lot more that we'll be talking about and getting into, but we got to take that next break. If you want to get on the line, that number to do so again is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Some of the comments were popping up. I'll get to back in just a minute. But in any case, back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
5-minute delays on the I-10 eastbound from Cotton downtown to Paisano Drive. 8-minute delays westbound on the 10 from the Loop to the 54 Patriot. An earlier crash reported I-10 eastbound at Piedras Street. An accident Bob Hope south of Pelicano at Eschenbrenner. And a crash with injuries westbound Montwood just before Yarborough Drive. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Don't miss the energy savings event at Lowe's. Save energy and save money on select major appliances, including Whirlpool. Selection varies by location. Exclusions apply. Visit Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 9/28.
During this interruption, let's talk about disruption. Emerging new channels, cookieless media. Marketers, are you missing out on one of the most engaged audiences in today's new open web? With Viant's programmatic software Adelphic, stay in tune with digital audio, stream the future on CTV, and level up with in-game, so you can see an average 3 times return on ad spend, maybe even on this very program next time. Viant, built for the new open web. Built for now. Visit ViantNow.com to learn more.
Hey, Mario Courtney Lopez here. We know how important it is to be confident in all of life's close-up moments.
And bad breath can rob you of your confidence.
Yeah, it can. Whenever I'm rubbing elbows with celebrities or friends or just chilling at home, I got to make sure I have the confidence that comes with Smart Mouth mouthwash.
Smart Mouth is clinically proven to eliminate and prevent bad breath for 24 hours with just 2 rinses a day.
Get to your favorite retailer right now for that kind of better together confidence.
Find Smart Mouth at your favorite retailer or at smartmouth.com/radio.
Explore Banana Republic Factory's Friends and Family event with 50% off purchase. Shop modern utility, reimagine classics, and more from $24.99. Find your nearest store or shop online, only at Banana Republic Factory.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the 4-day super sale September 16th through the 19th and get 40% off paints and stains with prices starting at $26.69. That means 40% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, 40% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Explore Banana Republic Factory's Friends and Family event with 50% off purchase. Shop modern utility, reimagine classics, and more from $24.99. Find your nearest store or shop online only at Banana Republic Factory.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you all for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the very many social media pages. A lot of ways to interact with the show. You can comment over with us. Again, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch.tv, either under Andrew J. Polk or Talk El Paso, or you can, of course, get to us over on the phone line. Full up at the moment, but if you want to squeeze in a little bit later, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. A lot of response coming into the idea of what's going on with the comments there and the things happening there. Some of the comments, such as RJ, I think that teacher got canceled for sarcasm. Literally can't say anything nowadays unless you refuse to comply with PC. I don't have that issue. Fair enough here. Sean Gardner, a little bit longer statement. Don't know if it'll show up on screen correctly here, but saying rumor is that she was playing devil's advocate. Context is definitely key here. What does the investigation show? If that is her actual belief, she needs to be called out as a horrible person. If it's not her belief, then she needs to be accepted for that too. Your listeners are commenting on the subject and proving the point that the court of public opinion can make or break someone here. Boils down to that she's innocent until proven guilty. I will say that's one of the biggest issues I had with kind of the progression of that case there. It happened primarily behind closed doors. And again, you're entitled to your opinion on the issues here or how it should be treated, but that's why, as at least one other person said here, if I can find the comment, context is key, because it absolutely has here. And Monica Cervantes saying she may have been acting as a character in the example of a pedophile. Yeah, there's a part of it there as well. And on Graham with with rules about being applied fairly to everyone, but saying they have not been applied fairly to Trump, conservatives, or Republican. That's a fact here. Yeah, there's the whole day of the full story and all of it. Yeah. Again, a lot of commentary and a lot more comments that we'll take on there if you want to add your 2 cents. And the idea of devil's advocate and parts of there, and the idea of Amber's mentioning there as a sub, they tell us not to use sarcasm in the classroom for these reasons. So that may be a decent point there. In any case, a lot of commentary, a lot of points. So let's get back to those phone lines now. Again, that number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have on the line with us right now Todd on the west side here with us right now. Todd, thanks for joining us.
How you doing, Andy? This is Todd. Hey, I got one quote, because you mentioned that Sheriff Wiles was talking about how dangerous El Paso is with all these immigrants and stuff here. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a hypocrite when he says that. Because when President Trump was there and they were trying to get these immigrants that they catch, he goes, well, we're not going to release them to the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that flat out. And he was like, we're going to defend these people. We're not going to turn them in. So what does he want? Does he want to protect El Paso, or is he just going to say, well, I'll do what I want. I'm not going to follow federal laws. I'll only follow the laws I want to. Which goes back to Frankie and his comments about some laws people are above certain laws and other people are not.
Mm-hmm.
So where do we go from there?
I will say that El Paso has been unique in a number of ways whenever it comes to dealing with federal officials and laws on this. There's actually been, and it's not that's often talked about it, but that there actually has been a court case and a settlement that law enforcement in El Paso has been subject to, was coming out of federal court regarding to the interaction, particularly with things more along the lines of kind of like Operation Lone Star or Operation Stone Garden, things like that, but specifically in that sometimes federal officials, specifically ICBP, etc., have used local or contracted with local local authorities, local law enforcement, in order to kind of fill some gaps, add a little bit more, boots on the ground kind of situation, but that there was actually an injunction and a part of a settlement decided that the county of El Paso, rather, let me get that correct, was assigned a party to and were being required to. So that came up more a couple years ago, whenever the Texas legislature was being involved and dealing with some of its essentially anti-sanctuary city laws. That was part of it here. And we talked about that at the time, that kind of putting El Paso County, the sheriff's department specifically, kind of between a rock and a hard place, because on one side, there was some state law compelling them to do this kind of work. But on the other side, there was this literal court decision, legally binding decision that the county was being bound by, saying that, well, no, we're prevented from doing this. And the discussion at that point in time from particularly state legislators, Dan Patrick, lieutenant governor, specifically comes to mind here, was, this is not a direct quote, but the gist was, state law trumps that, don't worry about it. And that kind of, again, left the local authorities in kind of but what if we get sued over this again? That's still going to cost us a ton of money to deal with this, particularly since it would probably be a slam dunk in prosecution if you're not actually giving us resources to say that no, because it wasn't written in the law that this would definitely supersede that. So there were legal questions at issue there. So I think that's been a part of the situation, and playing devil's advocate as a phrase has been coming up a lot lately. I will further say that this idea of the ditching of the vehicles that are then the bailouts is the actual term that's getting used here, of people once that doing the human smuggling, getting at all challenged by law enforcement, even just followed by it, them immediately pulling over or crashing in some cases and bailing out of the vehicle, wasn't exactly a part of what we're dealing with this area at that point in time. So I'm at a certain point allowing hindsight to be 2020, but I will say if that is still the point that he's making, yeah, I would have some issues with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for the point in the call. You have a good one there. I mean, a lot of these issues are complex at best here. Let's get to at least one more call here before we hit that next break. Again, the number to call is 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. We do have Raul in the Northeast on the line with us here right now. Raul, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Andrew. Seems curious worrying about precedent during unprecedented times and an unprecedented attack on the Capitol, planned and executed by a failed former president who was on an in-president fashion, impeached for a second time, the second time for inciting and planning that coup, and is now being investigated by a federal grand jury. Now, today, President Biden vowed to tackle the venom and violence of white supremacy and decried Trump's response to Charlottesville. Now, the FBI has identified domestic right-wing violence as the greatest threat to America's security. And Trump's latest statement about big problems, if he's indicted, that's inciting his the lemmings in his cult. There he goes again, like when he told the Proud Pendejo boys to stand back and stand by. And they have been charged with seditious conspiracy. Now, I'm much more worried about these deplorables than I am about immigrants, El Paso is all too familiar with the consequences of racist, xenophobic rhetoric coming from the President of the United States and the effect of that rhetoric on one of his racist, xenophobic followers who killed 23 people in El Paso, the worst thing that's ever happened in our community. And I'll tell you why 81 million Americans and most El Pasoans are glad Trump isn't president anymore. We're fed up with his governing like a tyrant when he lost the popular vote, even with Putin's help. And then he went on to reverse all of Obama's policies.
As has happened between many different administrations here. To answer your first question there about why worry about precedent in unprecedented times, where do you think precedent comes from? It comes from the unprecedented times. I mean, the first time that George Washington was elected to a second term of office, that was unprecedented. The first time that we had someone elected to office and for presidency 4 times, that was unprecedented, but then set some rules because a precedent had previously been in place of there being, well, essentially only 2 terms of office. So it's in those unprecedented times, how we react to it is what then ends up setting the precedent. So if we're saying that, no, we shouldn't care our response, we just need to deal with the situation right now. It's kind of like saying, well, something's on fire right now. We need to put any liquid we got on here. Well, what if we're going to be using gasoline here? I don't care. It's any liquid. We just got to deal with it now and not worrying about the literal fireball you're about to set off here. Because if you're not worried about what it means going forward, I mean, seriously, that's just short-sighted and going to cause problems. If you're not worried about what it means going forward, what it's going to mean after this point, about the can of worms that's could open here. Now, not saying I'm the biggest fan of the former president here. Took a lot of issues with some specific policies in place here, but to say that and therefore everything done because I didn't like the guy, and particularly the connection to the August 3rd thing, you know that that's not really going to fly here, or they're going to fly with me anyway, and that kind of reasoning. Yes, find everything said by that alleged and indicted shooter as not anything that I'm ever going to agree with. Plain out, flat and simple here. But if you're calling and laying it all at the feet of the former presidency, I would say that former and any official elected office has to be very careful with the statements they're making, because there are going to be those that may take it out of context or in a way that that is not intended to. But stoking the flames and the fires here is often a dangerous game, because more often than not, you'll end up being burned. But also to say here that you don't think it should be handled with concern, well, I wouldn't be surprised if you are fully on board with, throwing into a dark hole, dunking into the oubliette, however have you, with the former president. But if you're not talking about that being handled very carefully, and this is just, okay, here's how I see that playing out in the long run. If you want to talk about precedent even further here, if this comes down to that, deserve it or not, we have it that a former president was, thrown into the pit of despair, etc. And that's just going to be a factor of who has control of the political office at the time and who controls the majority. That's going to become a facet of the way our country works. And if you think that's a totally good thing, I'm going to refer you to one other thing that I feel like I say more often than not, particularly in response to this. If there is ever a political tool, power, etc., precedent that you think, oh, we should totally be in charge of, when it's the party that you agree with in charge of it, but that the idea of a political opponent, of someone you don't agree with, or is on the opposite side of the political spectrum from you, being in charge of that power as well, if that terrifies you, chills you to your bone, then the shoe is on the other foot, and you hate that, then that power should absolutely not exist here. So thank you for the point in the call for what it's worth. We're going to go ahead and move on and get to that next break right now. Again, that number to call if you want to get on the line, add your own 2 cents, is 915-544-5876, 915-544-KTSM. Ion Grid making that point there, saying many are looking forward to applying Biden's precedents to Democrats here. And the short-sighted nature of how we do a lot of this here is, anyway. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Again, that number, 915-544-5876, 544-KTSM. Back after this break with more Talk El Paso, airing live here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Hello, I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update. A petition to remove El Paso District Attorney Ivan Rosales from office will move forward, according to defense attorney Omar Carmona. Carmona confirmed Judge Tyrone Lewis of Odessa yesterday granted Carmona's application for a citation and ordered that citation be issued to Rosales. Rosales will have an opportunity to file a denial. County Attorney Joanne Bernal will next decide whether to prosecute or dismiss the petition to remove Rosales. And a man who secretly recorded prepubescent boys and girls in retail stores across El Paso has been sentenced to life in prison for numerous counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. The case was referred to the FBI after executing a search warrant at his home in El Paso. Agents discovered more than 65 electronic devices, including laptops, desktop computers, computer hard drives, cell phones, thumb drives, and tablets, and to date approximately 1 million images and videos constituting child porn and child erotica had been found on Gonzalez's devices. I'm Erica Castillo with this KFOX 14 News Update.
News Radio 690. Traffic all day.
El Paso police responding to an injury accident border highway westbound at the Yarborough exit. Slow traffic on the 10 westbound between America's Avenue and the Loop to the 54 Patriot, 9-minute delays. It's bumper to bumper I-10 eastbound from Cotton downtown to Paisano Drive, 8-minute delays. An accident Lee Trevino southbound before Vista del Sol. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
After a few days of showers and storms, drier weather has taken over along with unseasonably warm temperatures. Expect a mostly clear sky tonight with overnight lows ranging from the low 60s in Las Cruces to the middle 60s here in El Paso. Coming up tonight, we'll talk about how long these quiet skies will last, plus a look at your weekend forecast. From the KFOX 14 Severe Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Kira Miner.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Don't miss the energy savings event at Lowe's. Save energy and save money on select major appliances, including Whirlpool. Selection varies by location. Exclusions apply. Visit Lowe's.com for details. Valid through 9/28.
Kick off your season with a win at Sun & Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat.
Hey, El Paso, Ivan Ochoa, General Manager of Sun & Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. We need trades, and we need them now. Even if you owe thousands more than what your vehicle is worth, we want it. So trade today and upgrade today for less.
For a limited time, get 0 APR for 72 months on new 2022 Ram trucks and on the all-new 2022 full-size Wagoneer SUV with third-row seating. Plus, during Jeep Adventure Days, get $4,000 off MSRP on select new Jeep Gladiators. Worried about your credit? Forget about it. We've partnered with even more aggressive lenders with great rates and terms for good credit, or even if your credit is less than perfect. All military personnel and first responders receive an additional discount. Thank you for your service. Trade and upgrade for less at Sun & Park Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Where buying a car is fun at I-10 at Sun & Park Drive or online at sunandparkdodge.com. Estamos en tu esquina, El Paso. El Paso Strong. Includes factory rebate and dealer discount plus TTNL. 0 APRs, $13.89 per thousand finance on select vehicles with approved credit. Offers not combined. Wendy's Biggie Bag is still just $5. Get a double stack junior bacon cheeseburger or crispy chicken BLT plus 4-piece nugs, small fries, and a small drink. Grab your bag at Wendy's today. Includes choice of double stack JBC or crispy chicken BLT with 4-piece nugs, small drink, and fries. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii. This report is sponsored by Wendy's $5 Biggie Bag.
Because you never hear this.
Hey, hon, I'm late. Chris, I am so pleased you missed the beginning of our meeting.
Thanks for making me wait, Dad. I talked to a lot of strangers.
Check on your commute. Stay informed. Traffic and weather all day. Or you might never hear the end of it.
Well, you were late to our anniversary dinner that one time.
Yes, how could I forget?
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM. News Radio 690 KTSM El Paso.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, call 915-544-KTSM or follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for joining us here for Talk El Paso, airing live on News Radio 690 KTSM. I'm your host, Andrew J. Polk. Thank you for tuning in, however you may be doing so, be it on air, online, live streaming through the free and reliable iHeartRadio app, or joining us over on the various social media pages. We're up on these days, facebook.com/Talk El Paso, the Talk El Paso channel over on YouTube, Twitter at Talk El Paso, or twitch.tv, Andrew J. Polk. A lot of comments coming in, a lot of ways to, of course, interact with the show. Phone line, social media, all of that. Some people chiming in right now. Ion Graham, Kathy Codry, Stephen Christopher, RJ, Flaco Jimenez, Austin Redfern, Eric Von Holstein Rathlow, saying specifically that Republicans are not a threat to democracy. Republicans are a threat to Democrats. Interesting point to be made there. EFR as well there. Louis Pinato, Matt Manza, Amber Banda, and a whole lot more. Sean Gardner a little bit earlier. Drop those likes and reacts. We do appreciate Phyllis Turner Kincaid, Carlos Sierra, Robbie Flores, Monica Cervantes, Carla Sierra, Ion Graham, Ida Beza Gardner, and Flaco Jimenez here. So however you're tuned in to us and wanting to talk to us and add your 2 cents, more than welcome to here. John Browson in a comment from earlier saying that the U.S. Army missed their 2022 recruiting quota by 10,000. They are dismissing up to 100,000 of soldiers for refusing COVID shots. We may need to draft legals to defend America. I will be very interested to see how that idea is officially would be received here. But Kathy Codry saying in response to that a bit here, saying specifically Biden is now suggesting that soldiers and their families applied for the food stamp program. How about giving the military a raise in pay, $21,000 a year for new enlisted is poverty level pay. Points there, but a whole lot more we'll get to. Let's get to those phone lines now. Again, the number to call, 915-544-5876-544-KTSM. We do have Barbara on the west side here with us right now. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I attended that county commissioners meeting this morning only to find out that it had been postponed till 11, and I don't know if they had anything afterwards, but they gave me 5 minutes to speak, so I did. I took advantage of it. I was the only one there with their attention. That was a pretty good time spent, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
But you know, you always, when you go there after you leave, it's like, I should have said that, I should have done that, I should have told him this, I should have.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I expressed my concern regarding alternatives. Have they thought outside the box? Where have they gone? I gave them a list of those 3 organizations that I have thought about. I asked him why there wasn't any pushback against his administration. Told him that. And then I addressed Samaniego. I said, you indicated there was no solution to this. And I was very, very adamant. I said, there is a solution. And the solution is close the border, deal with what we have inside the country, figure out who's here, what we're going to do, and then you go outside the borders. And so I felt like I asked the questions that I had on mind and a few more, because I didn't realize they had gone from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. So I took advantage of the full 5 minutes. But that was my morning at the commissioner's court. But I did mention that the problem with having commissioner's court is there isn't any interaction between the speaker and the council. And Samaniego was very kind and he said, well, there is. And he told me, pointed me to that young lady. I forgot her name. So he did communicate with me at that meeting. So I was glad about that. Gave me some direction. But let's get to Frankie.
Okay.
Frankie says the laws, no one should be above the law, except if they're a Democrat. Because can he give us an explanation on Sussman or Brennan and Comey, who drafted a document they knew was lies, and he approached the president lying? How about Obama? He spent $30 million not to return documents to the government. How about Sussman? He lied to the FBI and said it wasn't relevant. And of course, in D.C., he was going to get a fair trial, but not a Republican. How about Clinton and McCabe and Page? And I mean, the list goes on and on. So, and then I was thinking about Kleinsmith. What did he get? He got a slap in the hand. He's got his license to practice law. Would any other Republican in his condition who altered an email and submitted it to the FISA court, if it was Republican, would they have their license to practice law today? I don't think so. And then regarding the teacher, Andrew, this is a question. Has she been terminated from her employment? Do we know that for a fact?
I do believe it is. I mean, a lot of this has been happening behind closed doors, but it's just to my understanding from the reporting being done by our news partners there at KFOX 14 that, yes, that the actual, what's the body there?
Okay.
Yeah, that has been done by the Board of Trustees. There we go. Blanking on that. We talk about so many different bodies here that they did vote in order to remove her.
You know what? If in fact she has been terminated, I believe that the members who decided to terminate her, they had the context of the conversation in the classroom. They weren't going to terminate her on 16 seconds and put themselves in a precarious position regarding lawsuits in the future for, terminating her without grounds. So I think that they did their homework and they did what they needed to do to protect our children. And anybody who tries to justify those words that she said, I don't understand it. Maybe they don't have children. I don't know. And then regarding Raul, I don't know if he's aware or not, but a whistleblower just came up and he has the memo and he's released the memo to Congress, I believe, some of the congressmen, which specifically states, and he sent it to the National Police and Pelosi and them, and the FBI, warning them that there were right-winged members that planned on rioting that January 6th. But that happened 3 or 4 weeks before Trump even went to speak on January the 6th. So Raul needs to get the facts and calm down. If things are okay, Raul, they're not as dire as you say the Republicans are. We are humans just like you, but we take it at a different tone. And then I was going to talk about what's happening with these illegal immigrants in our city. And I asked the other day on the radio, how is it that President Biden is not returning these Venezuelan adult males back to Colombia, which was the practice? Well, now it turns out President Biden is going to, what is the president of Mexico? AMLO,
yeah.
AMLO,
Yes.
Going to AMLO and asking him to keep the Venezuelan adult males in Mexico under Title 42. Go figure. It doesn't work. It works. It doesn't. But now he wants it to work. This administration is all over the place, has no idea what they're doing, and we're just being ping-ponged right along with them. But you know what? The ones that Biden administration is giving temporary protective status to right now, the Supreme Court ruled on that and saying that just because you've been given temporary protective status does not mean that you can apply for a green card. These people will never be citizens. And that's because of TPS. So I don't know what Biden is doing. Bring them in, knowing they will never be citizens, knowing the Supreme Court has already made this ruling. Where is he taking us with this? We have to really think about this. And you know what? Our representative, I know I sound like, I never quit harping on it, but we can't vote Escobar into office if she supports these policies. And she's been silent on what that I know of, on what we're experiencing just now with the illegal immigrants downtown. This is catastrophic. Finally, on Rosales, taking her to court to remove her for incompetence. Wouldn't it be neat if we had something at the federal level that we could take Biden for his failure to honor his oath of office that he took? That would be fantastic, Raul and Frankie. Sorry, but that's how the majority of people in the United States of America feel about President Biden. He has us on a roller coaster ride. And what's amazing is everything he does is quietly. If you read articles, Biden quietly does this, and Biden is quietly doing this, and Biden quietly started that. I'm thinking, we get hit over the head after the fact. We get whiplashed during his speeches, his actions, but we really need competent people in office, and we need a representative who will push back, and that's what I've told the county. You need to push back on this administration. I mean, you have Cuellar, you have Gonzalez, you have their city council, you have their county commissioners, courts having meetings with Mayorkas, pushing back on him, telling him this isn't working, we need help. And what do we have in El Paso? Crickets. They need to step up and be bold, just like the rest of the border does. I don't know. I just keep on calling and giving good news, don't I? One day I'm hoping to do that. Thank you, Andrew.
Sure thing. Thanks for the point in the call. Do appreciate it. I mean, talking about important things, I'm never going to shy away from it, though we try not to be always doom and gloom here, but we got a lot of serious things to deal about, so again, never going to shy away from that there. To that one of the points, Monica Cervantes saying, I do have children. I had to have a sex talk with my son at a young age because young boys were being molested and impregnating girls at 12 and 13. It's an ugly world now. Judge me if you want. My son has grown, and thank me for that. My thoughts were be careful judging on allegations here. I don't have much that I can say towards a parent who is dealing with, the situation with their kids here. And I guess that's kind of a point here. The idea that, nothing ever sexual should ever be said to a child here. I guess there's a difference, and it's often being conflated, I feel like, in our modern society here, between the idea of grooming, that anything ever being said of a sexual nature or involving sexual content to a child. Like, sure, it's one thing between, showing pornography to a child here. Another thing saying, hey, here are some of the terminologies. Here are some of the things you need to know. And here's the whole no-no zone conversations. If you're using just no, it's bad for you to touch you there. Don't worry about why. Just it's bad. But as opposed to giving them there's a reason to use also clinical definitions sometimes about what the genitalia is called here, because it can often lead to confusion. Then if someone is saying hey, something bad has happened, someone touched my insert euphemism for genitalia here, can cause issues. So being frank and forthright while being age appropriate for a child here, for the one that I've known that has dealt with these things, has often been, it's not comfortable, it's not fun, it's not easy, but it can be very important in the long run here. Let's get to at least one more call before we hit that next break. We do have Tony on the west side here with us. Tony, thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you. I'll try to do it quickly. Everybody's talking about the minutia, and Barbara, I love her, but she's like a BB gun up against a battleship. She's like a BB gun against a battleship. Let me tell you the people who are in control and who are your real enemies, Barbara, okay? At the very top, you have a trillionaire tier, a shadow government, like the Windsors, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, even the Vatican. Under that, the second tier is billionaire disciples like Zuckerberg, Bezos, Rosenberg, and of course, you got Kissinger still in there, and Soros and people like that. The third tier, of course, their agenda is, of course, population control, and they use Save the Earth to do that one. Global digital currency, they're going to get rid of our currency so they can control us with only digital currency, and they want a one world government, again, control for their own survival at our expense. And the fourth tier is their formula, of course, the pandemic that they let out, the race baiting, the riots, the racism accusations, and then the economic crash, which they're doing by printing money out of control. And then on the very bottom tier, the solutions that they come up with is, of course, one more tier of chaos and lawlessness. then the cashless society, and the solution, of course, is IDs for all of us and control with pandemic control and chip in our forearm and so forth. Thank you. Am I out of time, Andrew?
Yeah, I think we'll be able to leave it for today as well. So thank you very much for the point in the call. Do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.
I mean, we'll talk more about it here, but we got to take that next break. So coming out of this break, tell me what we got coming up for you and more what we'll get to here. So stay tuned. More Talk El Paso after this break here on News Radio 690 KTSM. Stay tuned.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
An injury accident reported Border Highway westbound at the Arborough Drive exit. I-10 westbound is slow from the Loop to the Patriot, 11-minute delays. Lee Trevino southbound before Vista del Sol at La Quinta Drive, there's an accident. A crash reported Red Road westbound at Donovan Drive. Kerry Edwards, El Paso traffic.
This report is sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. When your ride fires on all cylinders, so do you. That's why Napa is on a mission to keep you in motion. With nearly 6,000 Napa Auto Parts stores and over 17,000 Napa Auto Care centers, the Napa network has everything you need to get up and go.
You wash your hands and brush your teeth, but what about your nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage pulls saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, dirt, and germs, and it's why nose cleaning is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons: sinusitis, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they also find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Nearly 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying things like, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. That's because Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less. But the biggest payoff is improved health. Here's the key point. Navage is good personal hygiene, and it's going to help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Explore Banana Republic Factory's Friends and Family event with 50% off purchase. Shop modern utility, reimagine classics, and more from $24.99. Find your nearest store or shop online, only at Banana Republic Factory.
Ask Sherwin-Williams during the 4-day super sale September 16th through the 19th and get 40% off paints and stains with prices starting at $26.69. That means 40% off our most popular color family, blue. Psychologists have found it to be soothing and relaxing, which makes it especially great for bedrooms and bathrooms. And of course, 40% off all of our other colors. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Explore Banana Republic Factory's Friends and Family event with 50% off purchase. Shop modern utility, reimagine classics, and more from $24.99. Find your nearest store or shop online, only at Banana Republic Factory.
Heads up, Texas.
So you don't rear end me when I'm at a stoplight.
So I can ride my bike safely.
So I don't have to write you a ticket. Heads up, Texas, because driving and using your phone is a bad combination. Talk, text, crash. Brought to you by TxDOT.
El Paso's News Radio 690 KTSM.
Live from the KTSM AM 690 studios, it's Talk El Paso with Andrew J. Polk. To be a part of the show, follow on Facebook at facebook.com/Talk El Paso. Now here's your host, Andrew J. Polk.
Thank you all so very much for having joined us here for Talk El Paso, airing on News Radio 690 KTSM. I've been your host, Andrew J. Polk. Just about out of time here for today. I want to tell you about some of the things we're working on for you. Of course, we got Free for All Friday coming up tomorrow. Feels like we've already been in it a little bit here, but we'll definitely just dive head first into all of it tomorrow when we're taking on all of your questions, all of your comments, all of your calls throughout both hours of the show, as we do each and every Friday here. So, of course, stay tuned for that. For next week, and we're talking more of some of those local organizations doing some of that important groundwork and even how it's being used to respond to some of those situations going on right now here. But specifically, there's one thing being brought up here. Roll bringing up the idea of equal time here, saying about how equal time for me, like I give Trumper Barbara and the other Trumpers, allow her to drone on and on and on, and the same old stuff, Biden bad, Trump good, immigration, but you routinely cut me short here. I feel pretty clear, but if it needs reiterating, I'm more than happy to do so, about the fact that I hope that each and every caller will bring up new, interesting, engaging, and different points here. But if I can literally write out what you're about to say on a note card here and just kind of check it off, play bingo with it. Let's just say repetitiveness, regardless of the style or substance of it here, it's not good radio, and we're going to move on from it here. So if you want to bring up new points, anyone, we'll take on any subject here, and let's just say it's not any perspective I'm trying to get rid of here, but if you're just going to repeat the same things over and over again, we're going to move on, and you shouldn't be surprised about that. But that's going to do it for us today. I want to thank everyone that did tune in, call in, comment, participate in the show. We'll be back again tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. every Monday through Friday as we do. So in the meantime, stay safe out there. Look twice for motorcycles when out on the road. Have a great evening, y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Traffic all day. News Radio 690.
Border Highway westbound at Yarborough exit heads up for an injury accident. Slow traffic on the I-10 westbound between the Loop and the 54 Patriot. 11-minute delays. A stalled vehicle on the 10 westbound blocking the right shoulder at Airway is slowing traffic. And an accident reported westbound red at Donovan Drive. Carrie Edwards, El Paso traffic.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
This is high blood pressure. Get back on your plan. Go to loweryourhbp.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
The most current and comprehensive. Just minutes away at the top and bottom of the hour. And always online. News on the hour. KTSMradio.com. Traffic and weather all day. News Radio 690 is KTSM AM El Paso, an iHeart radio station.